Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1100A, and today's date is October 13th, 2016, and the title of the episode is The Entire Central Banker Strategy is Failing. They're moving to the next phase. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we can see that the market has been bobbing up and down, hasn't really been going anywhere. We know that gold was suppressed, and I've said this before, whenever they suppress gold, it looks like they're preparing for some type of an event because they know that gold at that point is going to move up very quickly. And we can see right now it is holding steady, but eventually we're going to have a certain event which will trigger gold to move up very, very quickly. And we have to understand the central bankers, they have been using everything they possibly can to create an economy that will sustain itself for a short period of time. They didn't create this economy, this illusion of this economy, of this recovery, to sustain itself for a long period of time. Because we can see right now, they've created bubbles. And we know that bubbles, well, they reach a certain point and they pop. And this is proven throughout history. Anyone that wants to question it, just go back in history. You will see it over and over and over again. And we know that the central bankers, they're running out of resources. And what I mean by that is they have a certain mandate where certain governments allow them to do certain things. And they've used pretty much all of it up. Yes, they can manipulate some more things, buy some more corporate debt, but there comes a point where they need more. They need more resources. They need more control. And we've been talking about this for quite a bit. And we see right now that the central bankers, they're getting ready to move to the next phase. And the next phase, as everyone knows, is the system dying. They need it to die. They want it to die. They want to bring it down on their own terms. This way they can add more resources, the ability to do more within the economy. Now, this in no way is a people's economy whatsoever. This will be a central bank economy, just to keep it afloat long enough to get what they need. And that is something that will cover up this entire collapse. Now, will the collapse disappear? Absolutely not. They just need an excuse to point the finger at someplace else. They don't want to be blamed for it because they're getting ready to start it all over. And we've been showing many different economic indicators showing that we are in a recession right now. We're not heading towards a recession. We didn't come out of a recession. All they did was cover up the last recession, create an illusion, but the underlying economic data has always been we are in a recession. Never left it. And we can see right now we are headed towards a depression, towards a collapse. And every single economic indicator that we look at shows us that we're headed in this direction. If we look at U.S. import prices, they have now fallen year over year for 26 straight months. This is the longest non-recessionary streak in U.S. history. If you notice, there's a common theme. Every time we look at these stats, it's always the longest non-recessionary streak because the illusion is masking what is really going on. And we can see right now, if we look back at 2008, where we had this great recession, we can see that this streak only lasted from 2008 to the beginning maybe of 2010, which is a lot shorter period than we are in right now. Because right now, we're in 26 straight months. Maybe before it was 18, 19 straight months. So a lot of the indicators that we're seeing right now, they are worse than what they were in 2008, which shows us once again that this illusion they created is doing what they want, masking what's really going on. Now, a lot of people, and we've been talking about it, Deutsche Bank, they are in big trouble. I mean, it's Band-Aid fix on Band-Aid fix. We know the banks are completely insolvent. We know they're trying to sell debt, give it junk ratings, trying to raise capital. And we see already Deutsche Bank, they're making plans to lay off individuals. They already have a hiring freeze right now. They're talking about cutting 1,000 positions in Germany. Well, let me just say, they're going to have to cut a lot more than 1,000. They employ almost 100,000 people. And they're going to have to let a lot more individuals go to try to save this bank. And we can see right now, the bank is slowly dying. And we can see that at this point, this could be a trigger that sets off the entire destruction of the economy. And it would be great for the central bankers because they can point their finger. Oh, look, it was out in Europe. Had nothing to do with the United States. I mean, it finally hit the United States, but they can blame some other entity. And this is exactly what they want. And this will allow them phase one. They can say, this is the reason for the collapse. For us to save it, we need to start QE up. Once again, we know they've been doing it covertly, but they're going to increase this quite a bit. The United States needs to go negative interest rates. The United States needs to purchase stocks. The United States needs to get rid of cash right now. We need to get rid of it completely. We need to have a bank holiday. Some of the banks need funding, so we'll have to go into the banks and take some of the currency in the banks. And we're allowed to do this because of the bail-in documents. The governments will not provide a bailout. So if you want us to save the entire economy, this is what we're going to have to do. Now, we know that negative interest rates will not work. I mean, they use them. They tried to force people to take their funds out of the bank, and they wanted them to go purchase goods in retail. They wanted them to put it into the stock market. But what we're seeing from when this started, from a year ago, it has not worked whatsoever, because what happens is when people are worried and nervous about what is happening, they save money. Whatever they can get their hands on, they do not spend. So a year ago, they started this NIRP program, and they said this is going to work. It's going to draw out the money. People are going to take their money because they're not getting any type of return in their savings. Well, 1 year later, we see NIRP didn't work. People actually kept their currency in the bank. And their entire plan fell apart. So what do they do now? Their next move is to get more power. The next move is to have this collapse. And if you have not started to prepare, I believe you're running out of time. If you do not have food, you do not have water, I would definitely keep cash on hand, because in the beginning of the collapse of the system, people will take cash. The value of the cash will go down, but this is all people know about. Stores only know about cash. They're not going to take gold and silver just yet. You keep the gold and silver. That is the insurance that protects your wealth. You use up the paper money. Because what's going to happen is we're going to see inflation. As the value of the dollar decreases, things are going to get more expensive. So you'll have to use more of your paper to get those supplies if you can get them. Because once this system comes down and credit freezes up, it's going to be very difficult. And we've been talking about preparing for quite a while. And we're coming to that point where if you're not prepared by now, or maybe in the next month or two, you need to start doing it. Now, do we know exactly when this is going to happen? No, but we can read the signs. We can see the indicators. We can see what the governments, what the central bank, what they have been doing. And when we see things accelerate, it tells us, it gives us some idea of where they're headed. And we've been watching this, tracking this for a very long time. And we're starting to see all the things that we talk about in the past starting to come true. Because we knew that eventually we were going to end up at this point. And remember, they don't move along very quickly. When we say something's going to happen, it doesn't mean it's going to happen the next day. Sometimes it does, but in many cases, it takes them a while to get there. Because their whole strategy, their whole plan is to make it look like they had nothing to do with this. It was everyone else. It was Russia. It was China. It was because what they were doing in the economy, with their manufacturing, with building cities, it was all their fault. It had nothing to do with the central bankers. And it takes them quite a while for them to create this type of propaganda, to drill it into everyone's head over time. But here we are right now, and we can see what is happening. We have many problems in the economy. We have many problems around the world. We have the elections coming up. And we're looking at a perfect storm. And if the U.S. government central bankers don't get their way, we can see already they're ready to bring this economy down. They're going to do it one way or another. It makes no difference. They have to. They have no choice at this point. Because remember, it wasn't designed to continually last forever. Now, many people believe that they can continually create the funds, keep it going. If that was true, why didn't they just do it in 2008? Why didn't they just keep it going? Keep the illusion moving along. Why? Because what happens is they can't think of everything. Something out of left field usually hits, and then they go into emergency mode. Well, wait a minute, we didn't want to bring this down just yet. And we can see this is what they don't want to happen this time. They want an orderly, controlled crash of the system. They know it's going to crash anyway, but they rather do it on their terms. So everyone at this point, start ramping up your preps. Because the clock is ticking, and it doesn't look like we have that much time left. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.